Hey everyone, my name is Veruda from Tower Dive TV, and today I'm bringing you a champion guide for Elise, the Spider Queen. Elise is one of the few champions in League of Legends that can change forms from a ranged champion to a melee, and with that shapeshift is granted a whole new set of abilities. This kind of versatility, when utilized correctly, gives a summoner an answer to almost every situation. Before we go into the details of this champion, I'd first like to approach the Masteries and Runes. For the Masteries, I suggest a 9-17-4 Mastery selection. This dips into the offense just enough to help out your last hitting as well as grant you some free spell penetration. In defense, we're going to focus on flat health, free armor, and magic resistance depending on the situation, and reducing damage dealt to you by champions and towers. The 4 points in utility gives you extremely important mana regen and reduced cooldown on flash. While some players will prefer an all-out offensive build on Elise, I find this gives her the perfect mix of tankiness and offensive focus. Elise does lots of damage without too many points in the offensive tree, and this allows her to trade without too much fear against the bruisers that live in the top lane and jungle. For the runes, I suggest movement speed quints, magic penetration reds, flat armor yellows, and flat magic resistance blues. This just adds to her natural tankiness when in spider form and complements the mastery choice as well. The extra movement speed allows her to chase, run, and do so even more efficiently in spider form. Pairing these quints with a Riley's Crystal Scepter later makes her a nightmare for melee to try and fight against. Now, let's get into the abilities. I'll try to keep this portion as simple as possible, and then discuss the finer points of her play later. Elise has two separate sets of abilities, so I'll go through them first in humanoid form, and then in her spider. Her Q is called Neurotoxin. This single target ability deals magic damage, plus 8% of the target's current health. Champions looking to stack health against Elise will take more punishment at no extra cost to you. Her W is called Volatile Spiderling. Elise releases a venom-gorged spiderling that explodes in AoE magical damage when it nears an enemy or after 3 seconds. Her E is called Cocoon. This ability fires a skill shot web that stuns and reveals the first enemy unit hit. While it will reveal a target in brush, it will not reveal a stealth unit. Elise's R is called Spider Form. She transforms into a giant spider, which gives her free movement speed, armor, and magic resistances. Her auto attacks are also granted 30% of her ability power in magical damage. It should be noted that this ability has no cost, and is also granted at level 1. Upon shifting, her Q, W, and E will also change. I will cover them now. All of Elise's spider form abilities are without cost, and only affected by cooldowns. Remember that you have these tools at your disposal when you're running Her spider form Q is called Venomous Bite. Elise will lunge at the enemy, and deals a flat amount of magical damage, plus an extra 8% of the target's missing health. This ability is her Execute, and should be used as such. Her spider form W is called Skittering Frenzy. This ability gives Elise and her spiderlings free attack speed and heals her for a small amount whenever she or the spiderlings attack. Her spider form E is called Repel. Elise will lift up into the air, becoming untargetable for 2 seconds. During that time, she can cast Repel again to descend upon a nearby enemy. If none has been targeted within that duration, she will then descend to her original location. While this can be used as a gap closer and an escape route, remember that your opponents will be mindful of the possible targets you can drop to. Finally, let's talk about Elise's passive, Spider Swarm. Whenever Elise hits a target with a spell in human form, she readies a spiderling. These spiderlings appear whenever she transforms, and they will assist her targeting. While you cannot control them like a Mordekaiser ghost, they're incredibly useful and very easy to underestimate. Here's my suggested skill order. While I do recommend maxing your Q as soon as possible, some players may opt for a point in her W at level 3 for the free sustain. Level that ult whenever you can, as it improves the bonuses in spider form, as well as granting more spiderlings. Try to only take 1 point in her E at level 2 for utility, as leveling it only reduces the cooldown. Now that we've explained the abilities at her disposal, let's get into some of the tips and tricks that Elise players can utilize to make her extremely dangerous to the opposing team. First of all, I want to talk about baby spiders. Spiderlings follow the AI of your right-clicking, and therefore will even attack targets you're not currently on. They're amazing for tanking objectives, including jungle buffs, dragon, and even towers. They will take aggro as a regular creep would just before you do. Spiderlings are great for freezing a lane as well. Simply right-clicking your target and then back away so that the incoming creep waves aggro them. While they are considered units, it is important to remember that they can eat skill shots, be consumed by Nunu, grant Cho'Gath extra free health and mana through his passive, and even be smited by an angry jungler that just failed his gank. Don't fear though, if a baby spider gives up its life for you can always create more in humanoid form later. Positioning a spiderling between you and a skill-shotting opponent is a fantastic way to avoid some of the game's most dangerous abilities. Now let's talk about some other cool things with spiders, both the babies and the exploding kind. Volatile Spiderling can be used to face check brush, and should always be the preferred method over using Cocoon just to check. The stun is far more valuable than the damage that the exploding spider gives you, and needs to be used more wisely. When you've casted a Volatile Spiderling, then shift into spider form. If you cast a Q on a target and leap towards them, the exploding spider and his little friends will instantly leap to your target as well. Not only does this prevent wasted spell damage if you maybe casted it in the wrong location, but it also gives a bit of extra surprise burst damage on a target that you're trying to execute. The single most important creep in any wave during laning is the cannon minion. Use the free bonus damage you get when using Venomous Bite in spider form to ensure that you get that all-important last hit. While using Venomous Bite as an execute is preferred, please don't forget it's free. When a laning opponent comes up to last hit and you're short on mana, this will still do free damage. Don't neglect that kind of power. Cocoon is one of the most effective stuns in the game, as it can be used over walls to surprise an opponent and initiate a team fight, but it can also be used on opponents under their tower to stop their last hitting. As it does no damage, it will not give you tower aggro. Denying that same important cannon minion can really cause an opposing player problems. Repel can be used to leap over walls for quicker access to jungle creeps, or even escaping opponents. You can go from the backside of Baron Pit or Dragon to get in there as well. Keeping a close eye on the creep waves in your own lane can also give you some very interesting escape routes. Repel's ability to take you off the battlefield can help you avoid all sorts of skill shots, but be careful not to use it wastefully. Your opponents will make quick work of you after you land if you are unable to find a distant target. Skittering Frenzy not only gives you valuable attack speed, but also gives you free sustain in lane. If you find yourself ever needing some extra health, don't be afraid to go into their jungle, use the Spiderlings to tank, and gain some free HP. This is a huge focus of playing jungle Elise, but this guide is mainly focused on Elise top lane. Skittering Frenzy allows Elise to push towers incredibly hard. She's a great split pusher, but please be careful you're not as mobile as someone like Nidalee is. So do use it whenever you can, especially when you push them off a tower, but don't be overzealous with your attempts. Finally, I'd like to discuss item build. I always start off with Crystalline Flask, 2 health potions and 1 mana potion, and consumables are incredibly important to your success with Elise. They allow her to stay in lane longer and harass more, but please try to use those flash charges before your potions. You want to rush hunting Guise, Sork Boots, and Riley's Crystal Scepter as soon as you can. These 3 items give Elise everything she would ever need in her kit. Magic Pin plus percentage damage on her abilities makes it near impossible for opponents to build against her, and Riley's slowing bonus to her spells makes her a monster in team fights. From this point, I suggest a number of items: Abyssal Scepter if they're AP heavy, Frozen Heart if they're AD heavy, or upgrading Haunting Guise into Leander's Torment if you just want to do more percentage damage on those tanky opponents. Your role in team fights may also influence your purchases. Whether you're diving the back line or peeling for your carries, every item you see here can be justified. League of Legends is about adapting. If you have a suggestion for improving this build, please leave a comment below and help other summoners just looking for advice. I will be providing a Diamond level Elise gameplay analysis to accompany this guide, and as soon as that's available, I'll make sure that there's a link in the description below. I appreciate you watching, and I hope that you learned something today. If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more content. In the description, you'll also find links to Tower Dive TV's website that hosts weekly tournaments and nightly streams, as well as the Twitter to keep you updated on community events. Thanks again, this has been Veruda, and I'll see you out there.